30 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 blocks in a game since Sean Marion in 2006. LeBron James had a triple-double to help the Lakers beat the Grizzlies 136-124. 39 years old, LeBron is the second oldest player in NBA history with a triple-double. Only Hall of Famer Karl Malone was older at 40, like fine wine. The Warriors overcame Draymond Green's early ejection, we talked about that earlier, to beat the Magic 101-93. The Warriors remain a game up on the Rockets for that final play-in spot out west. Tim Legler back here with us. Good to see you, sir. Jay Will, is it bad for the NBA that we could be looking at KD, Steph, and LeBron in the play-in?
No, I don't think it is. Obviously, you would like to have those guys in the finals or deep in the playoffs. I do believe that the Lakers are able to slip in and get a 6 or 7 seed. They could find themselves a lot deeper in the playoffs.
Yep.
But think about why we created the play-in tournament to begin with, why the league did that, right? I think there's sometimes throughout the course of the regular season where we don't pay as much attention to the league because of the volume of games. And now we're watching, I mean, look, the Phoenix Suns, Legs, you and I were talking about this before in the green room. The fact that a team with Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker have the worst fourth quarter offense in the modern day era of the NBA, that's like a car accident.
By a lot.
By a lot, by the way.
Yeah.
Just if you were to ISO those dudes, they should be prolific at that, okay?
Right.
So I'm rubbernecking on the highway at that car accident every game, and to see Kevin Durant pull through last night, you're like, wow, okay, that's a little bit of what the ceiling could be. Now, I know Jamal Murray didn't play. Obviously, there's factors in that. Think about what's going on with Dallas. Kyrie and Luka actually complementing each other. Like, it doesn't feel like you're taking turns. Where will they end up? You talk about the Lakers, obviously, with LeBron James, them winning 5 games in a row. AD averaging, 30 points. Rui Hachimura last night having 32 points. So all this, the momentum that it creates for the playoffs. I'd rather have them in the finals or the Western Conference Finals, but the excitement that it leads up to as this old guard is kind of fighting their way through. And also, it makes me respect the new guard. Like, I know how people at home might market it, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has 50 games this year where he's had 30 points. 50 games. You talk about what's going on with Nikola Jokic having a chance to win the MVP again, which I believe he's my leader. I believe Shai is right there. But what does that say about the state of the game? The Clippers are, talk about James Harden and how they play with Russell Westbrook. There are exciting storylines. They're not old storylines that we like to think, but there are new exciting storylines with this new guard taking over. So I like where we're at.
2 ways to look at this question. I think, look, in the short term, it's great because of what you're saying, but that's a 4-day window that's going to take place. So it's great. Wow, this is compelling. These guys, by the way, I think they've probably played their way out of it, but you could also say Luka is on the verge. So you could have 4 of those dudes in the play-in, right? So that's a good thing in terms of creating interest for those 4 days. But it's not great knowing that at least 1, if not 2 of those guys will not be participating in a best-of-7 series at all. So their season is going to come to an end before the actual playoffs really begin. So that part is not great. But look, what are you going to do about it? It is what it is. I agree with you. The league created this. I'm 100% in favor of the play-in because it gives more teams an interesting dialogue longer in the year. And that's what it was really meant to do. It's great for fan bases because your team could now be 12th in the Eastern Conference and you're still hanging on. Can we get the 10th spot? Right? So that's what it was meant to do, and it's done it. I don't think the league ever saw something like this, where the marquee names are the guys that are going to be duking it out in these one-off situations.
Let's keep in mind, though, if they didn't have it, thank God they have it.
Right, no doubt.
Then we don't have them at all. But with that being said, it's also kind of changing of the guard at some point, right? At some point, it's not always going to be Steph, KD, LeBron as the faces of the league. There have to be new faces.
Bite your tongue, Molly.
I know they currently
you bite your tongue. No, I'm kidding.
I know they are right now, and I get that, like, absolutely, and the ratings dictate it. But at some point, it's got to transition.
That's where I feel like we're at now. I will say, though, one of the things that's intriguing, it may not help the ratings in real time, but if LeBron James is not deep in the playoffs on his new podcast, Mind Games, or his commentary, just think about how much that's going to affect, I think, how people interpret the league, too. Now you're going to have one of the greatest players to ever play the game of basketball telling you the ins and outs of why the game works. So I think there are new dimensions here at stake that's going on in the league, and you have the old guard. And look, I'm saying LeBron is the old guard. Dude is averaging 29,
Yeah.
9 and 8. I mean, come on, at 39 years old, the numbers that he's putting up. I just want to, let's take a step back for a second, Legs. I just want a moment of appreciation for this dude. At 39 years old, I know we always get lost in all the clutter around. Is he going to get his team? The fact that he has his team in pole position to be in the play-in tournament at 39 years old, like, what does that say about him? Like, he's carrying the load. Now, we could talk about AD, we could talk about D'Lo, we could talk about Rui. They get Jared Vanderbilt back. I think there'll be a different team with him healthy because he's a wing defender. The fact that he's carrying this kind of weight, come on.
And look, Jay, I mean, the way he looks right now, why couldn't he be playing at 42, 43? There's no reason. If he wants to do it, that's what it's going to come down to. Look, you're right, Molly. I mean, there's going to be a massive void.
Yeah.
With LeBron and Curry in particular, and I think in some ways even Steph more, like from the entertainment value that he brings. You never see anything quite looks like that. There's going to be a void. And are we ready to pass it on to that next generation, the Shai Gilgeous-Alexanders of the world, the Anthony Edwards of the world, the Jason Tatums of the world? Are we ready to do that? And I think so, maybe not quite yet. So I think what we're trying to do is squeeze as many meaningful games out of these guys as we can get. And that's why the more of these stars that can survive the play-in to actually at least give us 2 more weeks of basketball in your season minimum by getting into a first-round series, that's what the league wants.
Who would you say are 2 of the most dynamic players in the Western Conference? Dynamic. That literally, when you watch, it's like, damn, it jumps off
Anthony
the page.
Edwards, clearly.
Okay.
And Shai.
Shai
I'd put
or
Shai
Zion, too.
I'd put Zion
so, like,
there as well.
Like, I also,
Zion's
once again, I think it's how
I don't know, man. You know, make sure we're not confusing dynamic with athletic, right? Because I think Luka's dynamic.
I agree with you, too.
Like Luka is just fascinating to watch because he is unfazed by anything that's put in front of him. Scheme, personnel, doesn't matter. You can't get this dude off his game. He's controlling the action to that extent. So that's dynamic to me as well. I'm
also saying we have to remember the way that the league and everybody promotes it and markets it as well.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that's one of the things that's missing sometimes. Like, you know, I've seen one commercial.
Yeah, get it. Like also getting ahead of it.
Exactly. You got to get ahead of it now.
By the way, watch Jalen Green, too.
I agree. On Houston, they won
Jalen Green's coming now. He's averaging like 25 in this winning streak.
Real quick, who do you think could play spoil to Denver-Boston finals?
A spoiler to Denver-Boston?
Yeah.
I don't.
You have anyone?
Dallas or Milwaukee.
Maybe. Milwaukee?
They'd be the 2 teams I would pick. But Boston's going to the final.
I agree with
Barring
you.
an
I
injury.
think Boston's a lock.
It's a little bit of a better conversation in the West, but Denver would be the favorite.
All right, we'll leave it there.
Các bạn vừa xem xong video phân tích của chúng tôi. Sau đây sẽ là video hướng dẫn cách làm một cái hộp bút màu xanh có gắn 2 bông hoa như thế này của tôi. Bây giờ các bạn vào làm cùng tôi luôn nhé. Rồi, ok. Trước khi bắt đầu vào làm, các bạn sẽ chuẩn bị cho mình những dụng cụ sau đây. Ở đây mình có chuẩn bị 4 tờ giấy có 4 màu khác nhau như thế này. Đầu tiên đó là màu xanh nước biển, màu xanh lá, màu hồng và màu xanh lá đậm như thế này. Tiếp theo các bạn sẽ chuẩn bị cho mình một cây kéo, một cái bút chì, một cái compa, một cái thước và 2 cái bút màu. Cuối cùng các bạn sẽ chuẩn bị cho mình một cây súng bắn keo như thế này nhé. Bạn nào mà không có súng bắn keo thì các bạn có thể sử dụng các loại keo dán giấy khác như là hồ hoặc là băng dính 2 mặt, mình đều có thể sử dụng được nhé. Sau khi các bạn đã chuẩn bị xong đầy đủ dụng cụ, bây giờ chúng ta sẽ bắt đầu vào làm luôn nhé. Đầu tiên, các bạn sẽ lấy cho mình tờ giấy A4 màu xanh lá nhạt như thế này. Tiếp theo lấy cho mình cái bút chì và thước kẻ. Các bạn sẽ đo cho mình là 8 cm nha. Phần chiều dài thì mình sẽ đo là 10 cm nhé. Rồi bây giờ các bạn sẽ kẻ nó thành một hình vuông cho mình nha. Đó, các bạn sẽ kẻ cho mình thành một cái hình vuông như thế này nhé. Bây giờ mình sẽ cắt cái hình vuông này ra nha. Mình sẽ sử dụng cây kéo như thế này để mình cắt ra nhé. Đó, mình đã cắt xong được một cái hình vuông như này rồi nha. Bây giờ các bạn sẽ gấp đôi nó vào cho mình. Đó, mình sẽ gấp đôi nó vào như thế này nhé. Bây giờ các bạn tiếp tục lấy cho mình tờ giấy màu xanh lá. Lấy cho mình cái bút chì và thước kẻ. Các bạn sẽ đo cho mình là 12 cm nha. Phần chiều rộng thì mình sẽ đo là 8 cm nhé. Rồi bây giờ các bạn sẽ kẻ nó vào cho mình nha. Đó, mình sẽ kẻ nó thành một cái hình vuông như thế này nhé. Bây giờ mình sẽ cắt cái hình vuông này ra nha. Đó, các bạn sẽ cắt ra cho mình thành một hình vuông như thế này nhé. Tiếp theo, mình sẽ lấy thước và bút chì. Các bạn đo cho mình hai phần cạnh bên nó sẽ cách nhau là 1 cm nha. Rồi bây giờ các bạn sẽ kẻ nó vào. Đó, các bạn sẽ gấp nó vào như thế này cho mình nhé. Tiếp theo là phần bên này. Đó, các bạn sẽ gập hai bên nó vào như thế này cho mình nhé. Rồi, sau khi đã gấp xong, bây giờ các bạn sẽ gấp đôi nó vào cho mình. Rồi, vậy là mình sẽ được một cái hình vuông như thế này nha. Bây giờ mình sẽ gắn hai cái hình này vào với nhau nhé. Để nó sẽ thành một cái hình vuông nha. Mình sẽ dán phần bên này trước nhé. Rồi tiếp theo mình sẽ gắn phần bên này.